Hey everyone, and welcome to today's Explainer. I am absolutely thrilled to have you here for what I kind of like to call a masterclass in decoding how entire societies make massive, monumental decisions. Have you ever stopped to wonder how a whole country decides what to produce when? Well, it literally cannot have everything. Today, we're going to explore a brilliant, super simple visual map that economists use to answer that exact question. It's called the Production Possibility Curve, or the PPC. Let's get right into it. Okay, let's dive into this. Here is our step-by-step roadmap for today. 1. The universal problem of scarcity. 2. The sacrifice of choice. 3. Deciding what to produce. 4. The danger of inefficiency. And finally, 5. Expanding the economic frontier.
All right, Section 1, the universal problem of scarcity.
First up, we really have to talk about the foundational villain of all economics. Yep, I'm talking about scarcity. It's the ultimate reality check for literally any society. The stark fact that we simply can't have everything we want. Scarcity is the economic problem where resources, things like land, labor, and capital, are just too limited to produce all the alternative goods and services that people want to consume. And here's the thing, scarcity isn't absolute, it's relative. Our human wants are basically endless. They multiply over time. As soon as one want is satisfied, another one immediately crops up, right? But our resources to fulfill those wants, they are firmly limited. And this forces every single society on Earth to make some really tough decisions. To really wrap our heads around this, let's look at some raw numbers. Imagine a highly simplified economy that produces only two things. We'll use the classic economic example, civilian goods, which we'll call butter, and defense goods, which we'll call guns. This schedule shows various production combinations. Now, if we pour every single resource we have into guns, that's combination A, we get 15,000 guns but absolutely zero butter. If we flip it and go to the other extreme, combination F, and put everything into butter, we get 5 million kilograms of butter, but zero guns. Every single option in between requires a trade-off. And when you plot those exact numbers out, you get this downward sloping line, known as the production possibility curve. Think of this curve as the physical, absolute boundary of our society's current capabilities. It assumes a few things. Our productive resources are fixed, our technology is constant, and we are using absolutely everything to its fullest potential. Now, I want you to cast your eyes out into the empty space just outside that curve. Look specifically at point D out there in the distance. That point represents the very real problem of scarcity. It is completely unattainable. Why? Well, because the economy simply does not have enough resources to produce at that high of a level today. Only points resting right on the curve, or inside it, are actually attainable. Right now, point D is just a dream. Moving right along to Section 2, the sacrifice of choice. So since we can't reach point D in that unattainable wasteland, we have to make do with what actually is attainable on our borderline. But choosing between those attainable points, like shifting from combination C down to E, it forces a sacrifice. The curve slopes downwards to the right, which tells us a very strict, unavoidable economic truth. The absolute only way to raise the production of one good is to actively lower the production of the other. The source actually drops some great flavor here, borrowing a famous line from the Bollywood superstar Shah Rukh Khan, "Kuch paane ke liye kuch khona padta hai." That translates to gain something, you must lose something. It's an awesome pop culture quote that just perfectly illustrates the core economic mechanism we're looking at. So the crucial point is this concept right here, marginal opportunity cost. Let's say we want to move from combination C further down the curve to E because we decide we want more butter. To get that extra butter, society strictly requires lowering the production of guns. There's no way around it. And here's the kicker. Because resources are not equally efficient at producing both goods, a dairy farmer isn't exactly going to be a master weapons manufacturer overnight, the marginal opportunity cost increases the more we shift. We literally have to give up increasing amounts of guns for every single extra unit of butter. That is exactly why the curve is bowed outward, or concave from the origin. Which brings us to Section 3, deciding what to produce. Once we accept that we have to sacrifice, we have to figure out where exactly on this frontier a society should plant its flag. Any single point on the curve represents a massive specific choice. We're essentially weighing the real-world importance of prioritizing present consumer quality of life, our civilian goods, the butter, versus national defense and our future capacity, the wartime goods, or guns. Opting for way more consumer goods means an awesome quality of life today, sure, but reducing capital goods could seriously hurt our productive capacity down the road. Take a close look at the curve again. If a society chooses point B, higher up on the axis, they've decided they need more guns and less butter. Trace that line down, and if they choose point E, They've clearly decided they want way more butter and fewer guns. So, who makes this monumental call? Ultimately, this decision depends entirely on a society's tastes, their preferences, and of course, the sheer urgency of their needs at any given historical moment.
Next up, Section 4, the danger of inefficiency. Now, what's really interesting about this visual map is what happens when a society isn't operating on that safe boundary line at all. Let's venture inside the curve, straight to point C. Operating here means a society is completely failing to reach its potential. It is massively mismanaging its precious, limited resources. Being stuck inside the curve at point C means resources are just lying idle, or they're being used incredibly inefficiently. This is exactly what economists mean when they talk about unemployment. And let me tell you, unemployment of resources is a dead loss. It's an absolute tragedy. It means the capacity to produce goods is just going to waste. A factory worker sitting at home unemployed cannot contribute to the output. The society outright loses the goods and services that literally could have been produced by those idle resources. But hey, there's hope. A society can completely escape the trap of point C. Think about it. If masons are doing carpentry and carpenters are doing masonry, output is going to suffer. But if you can identify those idle or misallocated resources and reallocate them efficiently to their best possible use, you avoid that wastage. By doing this, the economy can push itself outward from point C right back onto the boundary line to hit a point like A or B, achieving full efficient utilization. And finally, Section 5, expanding the economic frontier. Now for the most triumphant phase of our tour, overcoming our limits entirely. Remember how point D was totally impossible earlier? Well, is it impossible forever? And this brilliantly illustrates the answer. Just notice the dotted line on this new graph. This represents the magic of economic growth. Over time, an economy can experience an influx of new resources, or maybe they invent some amazing new technological developments. When that happens, our overall capacity to produce skyrockets. The entire production possibility curve physically shifts outward to the right. Because of that outward shift, we get to celebrate a huge win. Combinations of goods that were completely unattainable in the past, let's call it point K, or even that distant point D we stared at earlier, suddenly become completely achievable. Economic growth means we've literally expanded our menu of choices. We don't just have to choose between limited slices of the pie anymore. We've actually gone ahead and baked a much bigger pie. So as we wrap up this explainer, I really want to leave you with a bit of a challenge. Take this visual map, this incredible tool of the production possibility curve, and try to apply it to the real world. Think about your own nation right now. Is your country operating perfectly on the curve, maximizing its potential with the best tech and full employment? Or are resources lying idle inside it, suffering the dead loss of inefficiency? The map is crystal clear. The choices are ours to decipher. Thank you so much for joining me on this deep dive. And honestly, I hope you never look at the economy the exact same way again.